What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Virgin Galactic. I want to give you an overview of some of the current data points, what's been coming out from the company itself, and whether right now is a good time to buy or not. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate it. And with that said, let's get right to it. So based on Friday, it did go up 5.29%, 9.46 million shares being traded, 14.4 is the average. And over the last several weeks, this has been one of the best turnaround stories of 2023. Of course, Virgin Galactic hit a home run with their Q3 earnings, and not only that, raising guidance for Q4. So I already did do a dedicated video on their Q3 earnings, which I was very pleasantly surprised in. And even leading up to their earnings, I kind of stated the best case scenario, and oddly enough, that's exactly how it played out. Prior to that, I was admittedly very bearish. I actually thought it was going to go down to roughly around $1, and you do see a lot of analysts that kind of thought the exact same thing based on this right here. So a lot of analysts were very negative, so you did have two even with a $1 price target. But despite the positive earnings as well, you still did have Wells Fargo kind of negative, and funny enough, behind the scenes within Q3, Wells Fargo did buy more essentially, so kind of funny how that works out. But no matter what though, I want to go over some of the current data points and everything else. So starting off with this was the latest news that did come out on November the 13th. Aside from that, there's been no SEC filings, nothing like that, but it does say Virgin Galactic appoints 𝗪𝗓𝗧𝗪, if I completely butchered the name, my apologies, to the board of directors. And even though I've been investing for a while, I've never really been one of those investors that kind of looks into the board of directors deep. Even though obviously that is a key role for the company's success, it's still, I feel like for them to get appointed and to kind of jump through all the hoops, they have to be somewhat credible. So once again, I think that this is just good news somewhat. Is it a reason to go out and buy Virgin as a result of this news? Not so much. But still, regardless, I'm going to move on, go over some data points and stuff like that. While I'm actually on Interactive Brokers, I'll go over to the ownership and just to break it down. So I did see on Twitter some people asking as far as what retail currently owns. And this is a markup. So other essentially can be classified as retail. Strategic entities. So when someone's talking on the float, that is ultimately institutions and other right here. So based on this, retail does own a good chunk of the float, so roughly around probably 66% just based on roughly just adding it up together. So pretty interesting stuff. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But some kind of key ones to really watch for that you did see within Q3 institutions increasing. So Vanguard, a very big player in the market, did increase roughly by 6.82 million shares. And other than that though, the only one that really stood out to me, maybe a potential red flag, was Citadel, and they increased roughly about 2.34 million. So Citadel getting in, not necessarily the best overall. And prior to that, they had just pennies. So either they're making a long position or they're just trying to do something mischievous, potentially behind the scenes. And with that new SEC rule kind of in force, most likely I think it is going to be for the end of Q4, Citadel and whoever is shorting is going to have to disclose that in their 13Fs going forward. So hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit more clarity on that, because there has been a lot of shorts in Virgin Galactic. So I'll give you an overview of that. And obviously I'm just bringing this up as a benchmark. I definitely do not see Virgin Galactic being a squeeze play whatsoever. So today, or I guess essentially on Friday, shorts did increase 304,000 shares. So by them increasing on a very green day does show that they feel like it's not really justified. So once again, I'm just going to be giving you interpretations of everything, and then at the end let you know whether I see it's a buy or not. But 19.36% of the free float's being shorted, 70.97 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 1.59%. So like I said, it doesn't really meet the criteria of a squeeze stock at all, but through the Interactive Broker short availability does indicate that there's around 2.4 million shares available to be shorted. And actually, just going back over here, if you are looking for a lot of this good compiled information, such as who owned Virgin Galactic, latest analyst ratings, forecasts, take a look at Interactive Brokers for all of this to be completely free. Just click on the link in the description below or also the comments, and then obviously take advantage of all of this good information, kind of makes you a better investor overall, I feel. But again, moving on from that though, so like I said, shorts have been very much ingrained in Virgin for a while now, especially with roughly around 20% of the free float is being shorted. So let's talk on options for a second. So based on Friday, there was $271,000 in calls being purchased versus 489 in puts. In fact, almost about 67% of all the options today was bearish. And based on just the dollar value as well, it is not necessarily the most optimistic. Looking at this though, this shows all the call options, the strike prices, expiry dates. Based on this, it is anticipated to be above around 250 by the end of next week. And looking at the puts, it is anticipated to be sub $2. So you kind of have both extremes. But let's talk on technicals and go over what it's saying. So right now it is at $2.19 between this R2 and this R3. So even if you do compare Virgin Galactic with a lot of other growth stocks, they are doing phenomenal. So that's the kind of a good takeaway to kind of keep in mind. But right now, $2.14 is going to be that next strong support. Vice versa, $2.34 is going to be that next strong resistance. So it was kind of in between that a little bit. It broke it more so on Friday. So in essence, I would really consider around $2.01 maybe that next strong support. But regardless, Virgin Galactic is doing very, very well. And even looking at some of the data points that I like to kind of watch, it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, and looking at the momentum indicator shows number of retail investors are getting in. And even if we zoom out, as you can kind of see where my cursor is, that is at 0. So anything above that does show new investors getting in. So technically though, this has been the very first time in a very long time, so since roughly around June, that new investors have actually been getting into Virgin, which I do see that as very, very bullish. And looking at stochastic, you do see it at 83, so it is considered a little bit more overbought. But you do see an inversion starting today where it's bearish. So red line above the black. So in my opinion, based on the technicals, I think it does need to actually pull back, consolidate, and that will reset a lot of the technicals. And then that way it'll be able to try and go up once again. So most likely if it does pull back, it'll kind of pull back to around the $1.80 or $2 range. So like I said, a lot of these kind of points I'm bringing up is just short term, but based on what they did say in their Q3 earnings, I think that bigger picture, if you do invest in the long term, Virgin Galactic definitely could pay off in my opinion. And like I've indicated in many videos in the past, a lot of the data points and everything else was very, very bearish. And even myself, I thought it was going to go down to around $1. So I was very pleasantly surprised based on their Q3 earnings. So in the short term, based on this, I feel like it is going to pull back to, like I said, between the $1.80 to $2 range. But bigger picture, I feel like this is going to be a steal of a deal years down the line. So once again, depends on your investing style and if you're going to be trying to catch the bottom or not, or whatever else. So let me know your thoughts on Virgin Galactic in the comments below. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying over the last little bit? Have you been selling? What have you been doing? And are you a fan of options? I have actually seen a lot of people posting online that they are doing a lot more options. So who knows? Kind of interesting stuff when it comes down to that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. This is an amazing promo, free shares, you might as well. So sign up for an account with Moomoo and throw $100 at the account and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, plus you get 1 free share of SoFi. So for $100, you get 6 free stocks, plus any cash that you do have in this account, you are going to be earning 5.1% APY. So this is a win-win. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.